too many notes. I'm not going to be able to follow them. I'll try to speak only 15 minutes, and you may scream in exultation at the wonderful words that come off of my mouth. First of all, did you notice why Jesus found him? You can answer this. Why did Jesus find him? What did Jesus say? What did he say? It's not a trick question. Someone knows the answer. Well, you just heard it. He's 87. I can ask him. He'll tell me. Well, what happened? He was what? He was thrown out. He was thrown out. In some real ways, unless you're thrown out of your associations, some of your friendships, some of the things you do, unless you give them up and throw them away, you stay blind. You stay idle. Jesus finds the guy because they threw him out of the temple area. They threw him out of the old order. Jesus has something new for us. Something much better. Something much brighter. Something that hopefully we can keep raising our expectations up to hopefully warrant this great gift of grace and love. Hey, you're sitting in a great chair tonight. I can't emphasize that enough. With all that's going on, this might not affect you. It's affecting me. There's according to the reports, 80,000 troops in Crimea on the border of southern Ukraine. I grew up in a Ukrainian village in Chicago. 35 minutes from the Hancock is a Ukrainian village. You look it up on a map. Augusta and Western and Chicago and Oakley. The Tsar Nicholas II built a church there in 1907. A beautiful church, St. Nicholas. It's gorgeous. And this bothers me. And no one's bothered about this. I'm not getting political. I'm just trying to make a point. That the communists, I don't know what he's going to do, but do you remember what they did? They spread atheism. This could be a big deal. I'm not here raising any political flags. I'm just saying I'm worried about these things. In my opinion, the world is getting darker, getting blinder. The Wall Street Journal reported there was an explosion outside of Kabul in a nice suburb, in Afghanistan, a nice suburb, where these charity people were all serving the poor. And the Taliban's excuse? We think they were worshiping. That was in the paper. And the threat of extreme Islam continues to grow in our own country. Oh, Father, get out of here. Look, there's an attack going on our own religious liberties. So I personally believe that as we approach the final stretch of Lent, let's continue to strive to be ever greater Christians, ever greater open receptacles to what God wants to place in us. Because we're the light. You can see. That's why you're here. Now, if you say, I brought up Crimea, I brought up Islamic terrorism, I brought up the administration suppressing our religious liberty, making us pay for things that we find abhorrent. Did you hear the second reading? The second reading said there are things done in secret you won't even talk about because you're so ashamed of them. Now, we're boasting of them. Now, I'm a man. If I was a woman and I had an abortion, I don't think I'd celebrate it. I don't think I'd point to the floor. This is just me. I'd look for some healing, some forgiveness. I'd want to move on. I'd want to move on with my life. I wouldn't grab a flag and start waving it. Hey, by the way, again, you hope no one gets this out of context. Oh, by the way, I'm totally for the elimination of a child in the womb. Woo! Same-sex attracted, same thing. I think I talk to someone. I try to get some help. I don't think I'd be up in a public square, someone say, by the way, I hope this comes out right, I'm a flaming homosexual. I want you all to know. But that's what they're doing. The second reading says we were afraid to talk about things in private. Now we're yelling them in the public square as the public square continues to squeeze out religious expression. So this is all going on. Now, you say to me, how does this relate to me today? I'll tell you how it relates to you today. I just got done swimming 3.5 hours ago. I step into the sauna. I'm laying on my back, bothering nobody, as far as I'm concerned. Some young 30-something guy walks in. How you doing? Blah, blah, blah. The regular rigmarole. I got a strategy. Where'd you go to high school? The guy had some time in Chicago. He works in Elk Grove. Now he lives in Fox River Grove. He's got a couple of babies. I said, well, your parents Catholic? Oh, no. They were Lutheran. I said, you baptized your children? He stopped me. And I'm much older than him. I'm his elder. I don't know how his father taught him how to treat elder people. I'm his elder. And I'm crippled, for heaven's sakes. So the guy, he says to me, I won't talk about this. He turned really serious. And he was snippy. He was very snippy. Now, between you and me, I don't want to get into this. Yeah, of course I could have took him. But that ain't the point. Come on. Don't push me there. Why do you do that to me? Why? See, I'm trying to get out. Anyway, the point is, he was so angry. He was so clenched. And I won't talk about that. I'm like, dude, fine, chill out. So I walked out, got my shower, and proceeded to mess with another man at the locker room. And this guy at least was taking it. He was a fall-away Catholic, and it was anyway. So he inspired me to keep doing it. You got to keep doing it. But you see these people. What's the opposite of the man in the sauna this afternoon, Father? Greeting people coming into church this evening. Smiles. Man wheeling his disabled child with a smile, handshake, carrying obviously a very heavy cross. My friends, we have to be the light. There's so much going on around us. And regardless of the situations that we find ourselves in, we got to stay positive. You got to look for hope. You got to find joy. You can't be crushed by the things of the world, even though they're serious. Even though they're very serious. Now, in today's gospel, we see a progress. The guy, first he gets healed. First something happens. He was blind. Heaven help the blind. We have a blind Nigerian who attends Mass here sometimes. At this Mass. He's not here tonight. If he is, I don't know. But he comes to this Mass sometimes. Can you imagine? Sorry, I want to go off on a small tangent. Are you sufficiently grateful for the gift of sight? I suspect not. I'm not either. Nor walking, nor talking, nor hearing. We should be a lot more grateful, folks. We should amplify our faith that tells us that we're sensitive to God giving us the gift of sight and hearing and all the other things we got. And eating. I love eating. Some people can't eat. They get fed. I go to the hospital. They get fed. They get it like this. Or IVs. Or all kinds of, there's diabetics. There's all kinds of other health issues out there. So this poor man who's blind, he knows he can see. So he knows something happened. First stage of faith. Something happened to me. I allowed God to grasp me. You don't know this. And I can say it about me too, which is a little more difficult. You're humble. You are. You're humble enough to be grasped by God. To let God affect a change in you. So you know what change happened? That's the first step of faith. The poor guy in the sauna, he's got two, I suspect, I don't know the whole story. I'm going to assume his children are healthy. Something happened to him. He had the miracle of childbirth with him and his wife. Something happened to him. Something happened to us. Now, that's the first step in faith. Something happened. I'm not the same anymore. The second, he said, who did this to you? I don't know. He said, I think it was a prophet. So he's looking to identify the cause of his change of life. People say often, you know this, people do this all the time. I'm a really lucky guy. Really? Is that what it is? Or Providence has shined her face on me, or his face on me. Or it's been the luck of the draw, or fate. No. You had a change, but you misidentified. See, it's a process. Finally, sir, who is this guy? He says, where is right here? Who is he, sir, that I may believe in him? Jesus, I love this. Jesus said to him, you have seen him. I love these incidents with Jesus. You got to love this stuff. It's powerful. Picture, and if you meditate it in the chapel, and you try to concretize, consciously think out what's happening in this scene. Jesus said to him, you have seen him. The one who is speaking with you is he. He said, I do believe, Lord. And he worshipped him. The third stage of a growth in faith. It's Jesus. It's not luck. It's not good fortune. It's not happenstance. It's not, and this kid's of mine, evolution. It's a miraculous blessing that you humbly received. And our faith journey continues to sensitize us. It's all a gift. It's all a gift. You've seen this. I've seen it too. I've seen people breathe their last, or right before they breathe their last, totally resigned to what's coming next. I fought a good fight. I lived a good life. I pray that in the next one, I will, by God's grace, people have said this, and they've done this, and I've seen it. I will see the light. I will be in the light, and there will be no more blindness. And that's the truth. So there's a succession of faith. We go from one level to the next level to the final level. What's the final level? It doesn't end. I shouldn't say the final level, but your becoming level. It's worshiping. It's what you're doing right now. It's so important. It's so important for you as we got 2 weeks left, or however long we have, a couple weeks left before Easter, before the great celebration of the Lord's resurrection. This has to be a large priority of our focus. Why are so many, and I understand, I just brought up real life events. As many real life events as there are to focus on, how about the real life event of Christ's resurrection? Isn't that worthy of our consideration? Isn't that worthy of a greater priority of our time? Isn't that worthy of a greater meditation? I want to be saved. I want to be resurrected. Why are we doing all this? Why do we do that? Just because he was a sadist or a masochist? No, he did it to open up the doors of heaven. He did it to invite in the lost sheep, which you and I are, to come share an eternity with him that goes on without days and is awesome. So, I guess finally, because I want to wind this down, and I had notes on it. Oh, one more thing. Let's see how long it goes. I just read this in the chapel this morning. I was totally bum rapping. We had, I'm just being honest. I'm an honest guy. We have the confirmation coming up on Sunday. Lots and lots of kids will be confirmed. And I've had some awful experiences, not only in this parish, but in many parishes. When I was in Cary, with confirmation, because the kids all go away. It's like a graduation ceremony from church. Well, I told you, when I was in Cary in '99, we had a geese problem. We couldn't get rid of the geese. They said, Father, what are we going to do? I said, confirm them. We'll never see them again. They'll fly away. They'll go somewhere else. They'll probably wind up on the porch of some Protestant church. I don't know. They'll go to Willow Creek. Fly to Willow Creek. Go. Woo, boo. No. Anyway, the point is, Monsignor said, Monsignor's so funny. If you don't love Monsignor, you got to love him. I love the guy. He's awesome. I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry. But he's just awesome. I see him all the time. So we're having breakfast this morning. He's like, stop bashing these kids. He says, you're horrible. I go, come on. You think it. You just don't say it. He's like, no. He's the older brother. I'm the younger. But you know what I did? I didn't tell him. And I'm not bragging. I went and did a holy hour for him. I thought, you know what? He's right. He's right. I got to pray for these kids. These kids are our future. These kids are the lifeblood of the church. These kids are going to be marrying and governing and Congress and government, all this other stuff. We need some good kids. So whatever you can do to reach out to the kids, it's so important. But here's the line I got in the chapel from Origen. He's not a saint, but he's one of the great erudite scripture scholars in the history of the church. He said this. Jesus said, I came into this world for judgment. That's what he said. Origen said, he did not save the world to judge the world, but rather he came to judge the world in order to save it. And I'll tell you how this works. Real simply, when a kid is, I remember this in kindergarten. I had a kid, Mrs. Carr, in kindergarten. I could not color in the lines. Obviously, I got issues. I could not color in the lines. So she did not come up to me and smack me in the back of the head and say, hey, kid, you're a preschool kid. You can't color bad. Just color. It's whatever it is. Now, as you become an art student, you go to NIU, you want to be an art student, you invite criticism. You invite judgment. Why? Because you want to be good at what you do. As the world gets colder, darker, and blinder, they don't want our judgments. They don't want them. No. Well, you guys are just a bunch of judges. If you guys are serious about following Christ and living up to your full potential, you would welcome this criticism. I'm not doing this to hurt you. I'm doing this to help you. For heaven's sakes, I'm doing this to save you by the grace of God. That's why there's so much less fear of God. There's so much less insensitivity to sin because they're blinded. They don't see, and they don't want to see. But just be mindful. Our God did not come to judge us. He did not come to save us so he can judge us. He came to put our ship in order so we can be saved. Finally, please, friends, as you leave, and the kid, the kid in the son, I keep praying for him. I'll tell you why. It motivated me to talk to someone else about Jesus. I was not stifled at all. He woke something up in him like, all right, I'll kick the dust off my feet. Who's next? Please, I beg of you, in the name of the Lord and the Holy Spirit, pray for the kids who are going to be teenagers. They're kids. They'll be married in 10 years or 8 years. Pray for the children, the young adults who we confirmed at 1 o'clock tomorrow, or the Mass starts tomorrow. And pray to be more bold proclamators of God's good news. Share this great medicine that we're about to receive of immortality. My friends, I hope you recognize, and I'm a good example, I was blind. And sometimes I still am spiritually blind, but by the grace of God. And I want to say this fellowship, I can see.